Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report. It is prime time Thursday night, June. It's June.
Yes.
It's June
Yes.
2020. I'm Damien Nelson coming to you here with our esteemed co-hosts, my esteemed co-hosts, if you will, David Hero and Hurricane Helms. First, David, how are you here on a Thursday night live on Fight?
You know, I'm just glad that we've gotten through another week to get us to where we want to be, which is Thursday talking pro wrestling with the Hurricane.
That sounded like a canned response.
It's Thursday. You don't even know what day it is. So how can I be excited about that?
I said it was Thursday. It was June something.
Yeah.
And it is June something.
Yes.
And Hurricane, do we still have you there? How are you? I think I lost video. Now, great, Dave. What did you do? What did you do with Shane?
First of all, my hands have been here the entire time. I have done absolutely nothing. I'm not messing with nothing. I see him moving a little
There
bit.
he is. Welcome back.
That's the quickest boot ever.
Well, to be fair, I've had the quickest boot ever, just so you know.
You've had the longest boot ever. How long were you in that boot, Dave?
The longest ever was, I think, 16 or 17 months was the longest.
Gosh.
Yeah. But I mean, Shane was never far behind. I mean, I've seen his feet, too.
That's true.
Yeah.
How are you, Shane?
I'm doing good, man. Another day of paradise here in North Carolina. So, I rarely leave the house, but I'm still having a blast.
Well, awesome. Good to see you guys, and good to see all of you watching us here on Fight TV. That's FITE Fight. We're live every Thursday night. And, the focus of this program is to talk about the big goings-on of Wednesday nights. And last night was another active night in professional wrestling. But before we get there, I want to rewind just a little bit further back to Sunday. NXT Takeover in your house. As you know, last Friday we did Be the Booker, which re-aired on Saturday and Sunday. And both you, Dave, and you, Shane, picked who you would book to win and lose and why in those matchups. And, it seems as if we have another situation here where, one of these kids was doing the right thing. One of these kids wasn't.
To be fair, when I do my show, my Be the Booker, it's for entertainment purposes only. Understand? It's all about the EPO. It's all about the EPO. Yes.
Very good. I'll accept that. But I think going forward, the week after we do that show, if I win, which I probably will every single time, I would like to see Dave Hero in a Hurricane shirt. If Dave wins, I'll wear the Super Friend shirt. Even though I'm a superhero, so I'm a super friend all the time. But I think going forward, that should be the case.
You know what? I agree.
I like it.
Yes, that works for me.
I like it. We shall make it so. Here's what we're going to do, folks. Actually, I know I was having some audio problems, which is shocking. Do I sound better now, guys?
Much
we
better.
Good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Turn my microphone on. That helps. So let's look at the matches. Let's look at the matches one by one and what you guys picked. And you'll have to remind the audience of who you picked. So the opening match was the 6-women tag match. It was Tegan Knox, Shotzi Blackheart, and Maya Kim.
Yes. Maya Kim.
Now you're going to correct me because you picked wrong.
Well, I mean,
I could say the names. You just can't pick right. So this matchup, who did you guys pick?
I went with the baby faces. And David went with the heels.
I went with the heels.
So Shane, you went with the winners. David went with the losers.
Yes. Basically, that's what happened in this particular one. Yeah.
That was pretty much the whole night for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Finn Balor got the win over Damien Priest. This was a good match. I enjoyed it. It was better than I thought it would be.
I thought it was excellent. I think even in defeat, Damien Priest, that was his best showing to date. So I thought he looked great. I wish that he would have been able to sell the bump on the stairs a little bit more in this week's NXT. Apparently he's completely fine, which I found disappointing. But I love that match. I agree that Balor needed to win. I still want to see more fire out of Balor. And I think me and Dave talked about that. And he kind of showed that this week in his match with Cameron Grimes. He came in with the aggression this week. And so
Ruthless
Maybe
aggression.
somebody's watching this show. I'm just saying.
Hey, Shane, tell me about, because I saw that bump on the stairs. You're right. It was brutal. Tell me about that. How do you take that? Like, it looks like there's no way out of that just hurting.
Yeah, it completely hurts. And this is a pearl of wisdom that I tell people all the time. Every bump hurts whether you feel it or not. That bump did damage to his body. Promise you. Just because he got up and just because he walked fine after the show, bumps like that, even on a micro level, they do damage. And one day he's going to get up and he can't hardly walk. And it's going to be because of bumps like that. Yeah. So I do not understand why, I know part of the reason why, but why would you not sell that on your very next show? Why would you not come out with your back wrapped in a brace, something? Because I guarantee you it hurts. I guarantee you it hurt it.
Yeah, I mean, that crushed
in the
him.
match, do you think, Shane?
Say again? What was the question, Damien?
Oh, yeah. Damien asked if you thought it was necessary.
You now. I'm the issue. I'm the problem. Okay.
I don't think it wasn't necessary. I liked it. I liked that it took a lot to take out Damien Priest. That part was fine. And you even could have, I don't think it would have been better, but you could have had Balor winning by countout right there. He did the boom. He takes the big bump. You see Damien Priest doing the valiant crawl. He's trying to get back in the ring, but he can't. And then two, now that you have complete control of the audience because it's NXT talent in the audience, if they're all counting with the ref, it could have created the ambiance that makes countouts cool. We've lost countouts and disqualifications. They have been squandered to death so that nobody cares anymore, but we missed the opportunity to make them care in that particular match.
Shane,
won by countout.
Shane, I don't remember what it came, how the finish came to be, but I don't think that bump on Damien Priest's back led to the finish, did it?
Yeah, he got back in, and then it was like a coup de grace to the back, and then another coup de grace. I think it was like two in a row, but it led to
that's
it.
Right.
It was a big,
that's right.
It was a big part of it.
So that's why it made sense, even though it was a crazy bump to take, because there's not much margin for error on something like that, especially when it's your lower back, because those take the longest to heal. But you and I have talked about it. Finn Balor seems like he's missing something, but watching him on NXT, it's like now he's focused. Now he has something to go for, and that is the North American Championship. And him and Cameron Grimes had a great match. I mean, Cameron Grimes, he's a sleeper. I mean, not that he's but he's way better than you would think. And last night I thought him and Finn Balor had a great match.
Oh, all of a sudden now, Dave, you're on the Finn Balor bandwagon.
No. I just said now he has something to fight for. I mean, now he seems focused. I'm not, still. You know what? My big thing with guys like Finn Balor and Adam Cole and all that is they're all 205 or less. Why can't the 205 live guys get those kind of matches? You know what I mean? So that's the issue. It's almost like certain talents are pigeonholed. Like there's a lot of great talent on 205 Live that they'll never see the light of day for an NXT Championship match or NXT North American Championship match.
Shane, that's when Dave is talking about smaller talents not being equivalent to larger talents. If you didn't catch his drift,
that's not what I was saying.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's what I hear.
Asking why?
Well, a smaller talent, they have to be more aggressive than a bigger talent is. That's just how it is. That's why a guy like Benoit, who was always smaller his entire career, that's what made him stand out. It was just the aggression. When you come out and you're built like Batista, you already have won half the battle from a perception standpoint. People already think you're a badass. If you come out looking small, or if you come out dressed in a superhero outfit, you got to work 3 times as hard to prove that you're a badass. So if you're small, it's not like you can't do it. Conor McGregor is a small guy. He proves he's a badass, but you have to work to do it. You have to work harder. The bigger guys, they have put in more work in the gym, obviously. But when it comes to perception-wise, they have a bit of an advantage in that aspect. And that's when the smaller guys have to step it up. I've been there my whole career.
Did Conor really retire this time again, you think?
No. I don't know if you guys saw my tweet about Terry Funk just texted me and Conor McGregor retires too much. Believe it or not, there are some fans that really believe that Terry Funk texted me. By the way, he did.
Oh, wait, he didn't?
No.
I thought he did.
I don't think he. I guarantee you, he has a flip phone at best.
Makes sense. Well, continuing along, Dave, you talked about the North American Championship. Well, it was a match between Keith Lee, who retained his championship, defeating Johnny Gargano. But we talk about that big bump on the stairs in the Finn Balor Damien Priest match. Well, this one had a similar series of action with Keith Lee just bogarting Gargano through the plexiglass, which has now been used as part of the action. Dave, I think who'd you go with in this matchup?
Well, I went with Johnny Gargano.
Of course you did. So, anyways, Hurricane, this match, you obviously picked Keith Lee to retain the championship, which he did. What were your takeaways from this contest as it played out? The frozen Hurricane. See, Dave, here you did it again. You did it again.
You know what?
You sit there.
Who would have thought I'd be the guy with no issues today? You know what I mean?
No, you have all the issues. You're pushing that button, that same button that Vince McMahon was pushing in 1996 at the
one that has the red tape. Oh, there he is again. There he's back.
Dave admitted. Dave. Oh, that's admirable.
I think Shane was stuck in the Phantom Zone again.
They love me. They love me there.
Keith Lee, did he come out stronger? Did he come out better? Did he come out worse? How did he come out of this matchup against Gargano at NXT Takeover?
I don't know if he came out stronger. If it takes him that long to beat somebody that smaller, I don't know if that made Keith Lee look stronger. It did show that he has cardio. I think his storytelling ability exceeded people's expectations. He constantly went back to the hand, the injured hand. He constantly went back to the eye. I thought he did really good in that regard. I like Keith Lee getting a victory. They kind of negated it this week on NXT. That's the 50-50. But, you know, they're still very high on Johnny Gargano. He's still a fantastic in-ring performer. But, yeah, the size discrepancy there is really, really difficult to deal with.
No, see, when Shane says it, it's not an issue. But when I say it, I'm a sizist. I don't understand that at all. But, you know, a sizist, yes. Johnny Gargano reminded me of a very aggressive Shawn Michaels during that match. Very similar as far as the style where
that's huge.
I said that how he wrestled the match. I'm not saying he's the second coming of Shawn Michaels, but I saw a lot of similarities when Shawn Michaels would wrestle guys like Vader or Diesel or Sid or even Mankind. He was just constantly going at him like a pit bull. There was a few times when I thought Gargano was going to win just because Keith Lee got so much of the match early on, and it just seemed like no matter what happened, he couldn't put him away. But Shane's right. It took a lot for Keith Lee to finally beat Gargano, and there were some pretty big moves in that match, some pretty big stiff shots. And, you know, I think they went about maybe 15, 20 minutes, which I think is probably about 12 minutes. I think 12 minutes would have been just plenty for that match.
And while I say it might not have done a lot for Keith Lee, it didn't take anything away from him either. You know what I mean? So it might not have done a lot for him, but it didn't take anything away from him. Johnny Gargano came out looking good as well. So I think the best case scenario is what we saw. But agreed, and I think me and Dave both agreed that match could have been a little shorter and it would have been fine. But I didn't hate the match whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I think the In Your House pay-per-view was the best overall show of the pandemic era from any company that I've seen.
Really? Better than Double or Nothing?
I said what I said.
You said what you said, and I just made sure I put the right emphasis on the right syllables.
Damien, there wasn't a ladder match like Double or Nothing on the NXT show. So that right there knocks you down a few points. You know, I mean, it was solid. It was solid in-ring wrestling is what it really was.
And maybe that's what I just wanted. You know, maybe that's what I just liked. So I don't know. But I thought overall, there wasn't and when I say overall show, there wasn't a bad match. Every match on that show was good. And when I say overall show, maybe Double or Nothing had bigger moments. And for sure, the the Money in the Bank thing at WrestleMania, I was entertained to death by that, and some of those other matches. But there were other matches in WrestleMania that I really didn't care about. This, as an overall show, top to bottom, I liked every single match and the totality of the show. I think it was the best I've seen in the pandemic era.
Thank you for the explanation, Shane. It's actually difficult to argue that explanation, but what is one challenge that some of the viewers had for this broadcast was the backlot brawl, the last chance backlot brawl, where Adam Cole squashed Velveteen Dream's chances of ever challenging him again for the championship by defeating him in this matchup. Some were saying that the presentation could have been a bit better. I thought it was fine. I actually enjoyed it. It was a bit different. It reminded me of, remember which video game was it where you used to be able to have, it was a backlot brawl and the cars were parked around the ring?
Was that the WCW game?
It might have been, but it reminded me of that, where you could throw people on the cars and all that. But I thought it was well done. I was glad to see Cole get the win here as well, and we saw what that would lead to. And him and gosh, what's his name?
Karrion Kross.
Yes.
Loomis, Dexter Loomis. Yes, we see what that would lead to last night on NXT. But I enjoyed the backlot brawl. Dave, what did you think?
For me, I thought the match was kind of hard to follow because it was so dark and grainy. I mean, at least when we had the Taker AJ match, you had better lighting. But
than me?
Yeah. Watching that match is like looking at you right now in whatever room you're in. You know, it's hard. So I just felt like there was no finality. Like it wasn't something that really ended Velveteen Dream. There wasn't anything special as far as the finish. Yeah, there was a whole bunch of chairs, a big move on all the chairs, but there wasn't like that, oh my God, it's over. Like, I didn't feel like I was on a roller coaster ride of emotions during that match.
I get that, but I don't know if we had to kill off Velveteen Dream either. Like I like the idea I kind of had last week with this leads, it can keep going. This might be just the end of this one chapter, but that story could keep going a little bit. I do agree it was very dark, didn't have to be. And as opposed to with the Undertaker AJ match, which was dark, they didn't have the choppy camera action that sometimes WWE likes to do. And sometimes it worked. Most of the time it doesn't for me. I feel like I'm watching TV like this, sometimes with all the crazy shaky camera that that they're prone to do.
It's nauseating sometimes too.
It is. It's exhausting, like sensory overload, I guess, might be what I'm experiencing. But I see a lot of complaints about it online, so I definitely know I'm not the only one. I don't know where Velveteen goes from here. I don't know if their idea was my same idea, because like I said, I came up with it on the spur of the moment. Yeah. But another thing is Adam Cole came out on NXT this week, seemingly unfazed by this backlot brawl match. If you're that unfazed by it, then there's no jeopardy. There's no danger. Why do I give a shit if there's going to be a backstage brawl part 2? When these matches, when you take the danger and the jeopardy out of them, I don't care anymore. And I get it. We want to make him look strong, but why can't he? I mean, wasn't his arm cut up? Could have come out with a bandaged up arm.
He fell off a ladder into a windshield. So
walking gingerly. Evidently, he's fine. If none of this shit hurts, why do we care? Mm-hmm. And it's so ridiculous because it does hurt. I know these guys. I know my body. I know myself. I'm hurt right now, and I'm just sitting in a chair. I don't know. It's mind-boggling. It boggles the mind.
Yeah, and like I said, they did all of that. There was a lot of physical damage, but again, for me, I never thought anyone was ever truly in jeopardy. Like I was never. Remember, and Shane, I'm sure you might because you watched Georgia Championship Wrestling. Remember when Ted DiBiase beat Tommy Rich in a loser must retire, loser leave town, and you just felt like, oh my God, it's over. This is terrible, and there was emotion because you didn't want to see Tommy Rich leave. Right. I didn't feel that. I didn't feel any of that when the match was done. I'm like, oh, okay, that's done. Who's next? Kind of thing. So,
but it's going to be kind of hard to get that emotion without the audience too. Do you think?
Well, but if I don't know, because I'm watching it, I'm the audience watching it, and I know how, what will trigger me and whatnot, whatever else. I don't know if certain audience members are going to feel the exact same thing, but I just didn't feel anything. I didn't feel any sense of urgency. I didn't feel like there was any, I didn't feel like Velveteen Dream was giving it 120%, knowing if he does not win this match, there's not another chance for him after this.
I won't disagree with that. I won't disagree with that at all. That's a valid point. But have we ignored the fact that he was on rollerblades the week before and was in a Lamborghini this week? That's one hell of a glow up. Maybe the biggest glow up of all time.
Very true. Yes. Yeah. So that was it for me. Is just there was no sense of urgency, and that seems to be happening quite often in more and more matches, because even watching last night, it seems like the goal of the match is to see who can kick out of as many pinfall attempts instead of winning. And it's really starting to get old and boring.
Is it old and boring for you guys, or is it old and boring for the audience in mass, is the question?
We have less viewers.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
considerably less.
Should it be more or less right now? Because people are home, some areas have opened up. Things are getting back to normal in some parts of the country.
It should be, but NASCAR just had their race and it was down 20% opposed to last year.
Really?
And like the second race of the year, and I read this article, and I'm not, an expert on NASCAR at all, but this is normally a big race for them, and it was down like 20%, which is,
Dave, you're a big NASCAR fan. How big was this race supposed to be?
Oh my gosh, you have no idea. First of all, NASCAR is in Shane's DNA. First of all, he's from the South. Up here in Milwaukee, we don't have that kind of stuff up here.
That's because y'all don't know how to drive. See, you gotta put one of these Southern boys behind the wheel. If you've never been in a car with Hermie Sadler driving through Chapel Hill on the way to watch the NC Tar Heels play, and we're late, you just haven't experienced life. that was as close to a near-death experience as I think I've been. Shout out to Hermie Sadler.
Who is the worst driver you've ever ridden with, Shane?
Matt Hardy.
Really?
Matt Hardy, without hesitation, a terrible driver.
Yeah, you didn't even think twice about that. No. Not at all.
Terrible driver, terrible human being. No, he's a great human being, but terrible driver.
Matt got a ton of TV time last night. I know we're jumping around, but
I like it. Let's jump.
I think he had 3 or 4 different segments in 3 or 4 different outfit changes, it seemed like.
I know he had definitely the personality changes. I like now how we can see there's some kind of convulsion that happens as he as the essence of Matt Hardy jumps from vessel to vessel, so to speak. So
he's almost like
a lot of good time.
It's like a regenerating Time Lord for the Doctor Who fans out there.
Ooh, there you go.
And it shows that Matt is going to be utilized. AEW is going to get as much value out of him as possible, because he now has him working with some of the younger talent. And with him working with Private Party, I think that's going to be great for them. But I think the one that's really, truly going to benefit is going to be your boy, Damien Nelson, Sammy Guevara, because you can obviously see that those two are headed on a collision course of some type.
To be clear, Sammy is our boy, both Hurricanes and mine, because he's also said that he is as tremendous as I've said he is. You just need to get on board, Dave.
I tell you what was interesting this week, too, as opposed to the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks on Wednesday night, I was looking forward to AEW a little bit more, but I ended up liking NXT overall more the last 2 weeks. This week was a complete 180. Based off the back of In Your House, I was more interested in NXT and what they were going to do based off of In Your House. But overall, I ended up liking AEW way better, just in terms of they did so much last night. So many stories, involved so many bodies on that show. And it's almost every segment meant something last night. Yeah. And there's on any wrestling show now, most of the time, there's throwaway segments. We just got to fill some time with whatever. For Monday night, it's almost that entire third hour. But last night on AEW Dynamite, every segment, in my mind, elevated somebody and had a purpose, and that's very important.
So who elevated who between Darby Allin and Tony Hawk? Who got the rub there?
I think Darby Allin, that video just created interest. When you have a package like that, you want to create interest in the talent. The one with Joey Janela, that little package, that created interest. And he jumped in the car with Sonny Kiss. That just created interest. I want to know what's going to happen there. That's what those packages are supposed to be about. They really nailed it with the Joey Janela one and the Darby Allin one as well.
And you know what was interesting was, as great as Jim Ross is and Tony Schiavone, Chris Jericho did a fantastic job again last night, because it seems like he's the one that kicks everybody out of just the status quo, and he ups everything. Like, he's the one that's pointing out the little things. Like when you talked about Darby Allin and Tony Hawk, it was Chris Jericho that put it over like $1 million. It wasn't JR or Tony Schiavone. And
Jericho's always on, and he always looks like a star. That's one thing that bothers me about AEW. When guys come out, sometimes they're in their tennis shoes and shorts, and maybe this is just the old man in the club talking, but I never saw that when I was younger. When you came to that ring, when you made a television appearance, you were camera ready. You were ready to be seen, and you didn't look like just every ham and egger in the audience. I wish some of the AEW stars would step up their game from an appearance standpoint.
But Shane, here's some cases. Here's some cases where it works. It works damn good for Orange Cassidy. It works damn good for Darby Allin. It works damn good for Sammy Guevara. And MJF is the opposite of all that. He's in that character all the time.
Mm-hmm. But
MJF looked great, except when he was standing next to Billy Gunn. That was like, why would you put him next to King Kong? Is what I want to know, first of all.
And how cool did he get when Billy Gunn got serious there?
Yep.
Like exactly. You could feel the heat at home when Billy Gunn put it. When he stood up for Austin there, and that face got serious. That was cool. I don't know how much Billy has in the tank left. But I know he looks like a tank, and he looks like there's a lot left. So, man, I would really like to exploit how much of a badass Billy Gunn really is.
And here's the thing. How many people can really physically go toe-to-toe with Billy Gunn, even in his mid-50s?
You're talking in AEW? Or just overall?
Overall. I'll put Billy Gunn in a fight against anybody. I mean, he's physically bigger than Brock Lesnar. You know what I mean? So it's like Billy Gunn is a man's man. And when I saw MJF cocking off to Billy Gunn, even Wardlow's not nearly as big as Billy. I mean, Billy's taller than Luchasaurus. So it's like, hey, if you really want to see what their value is, put them in the ring with Billy Gunn.
And I mean, just imagine what would happen if Billy said, I'm not bumping for this little guy. They couldn't do shit about it.
Nothing.
They couldn't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
Before we continue,
we're going to see that next week. We're going to see Billy against MJF next week.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's going to be tremendous. But before we continue with AEW and or NXT from last night, let's round out the last two matches from back at TakeOver last Sunday. With Karrion Kross made big news as he just rolled through Tommaso Ciampa. That was surprising, Shane.
Yeah, I mean, I know we talked about it last week, and I remember saying, man, what if Tommaso would have won? But just seeing how Karrion ran through him, I tell you what I like too. My favorite segment of the week was them following Tommaso last night on NXT. It was apparently he had stayed hours at In Your House after he was disappointed. He was devastated. This loss bothered him. That's emotion. That's storytelling. That stood out to me more than anything, because if you've never been a competitor in a combat sport, you don't understand losses do affect you. Losses affect you big time. If you can walk out of a loss and you're all happy, then you got no heart. Then you're not a real combatant. Now, I was a terrible loser. I was a sore loser. I was the worst. And I remember a conversation I had with my coach one time. And I had and not to pat myself on the back, but I will. I put her on Anderson. I put her on Anderson too. I had broke the school record for an undefeated streak as a freshman. I didn't think I could lose. And that was a part of why I was winning. My confidence was super high. Well, then somebody busted my ass. Not only beat me, put me on my back and pinned me. I about lost my mind. I couldn't take it. And my coach came to me and he goes, you got to accept losing. He goes, everybody else does. And I go, yeah, they lose a lot more than I do too. And he kind of had to accept that, losses affect you. And I love that a loss affected Tommaso. And now we get to see, where does he go from here? I'm super invested in the Tommaso Ciampa story right now. Where does he come from? How does he come back? Does he come back bigger than ever? Or is he so devastated he never recovers?
Or does he come back and join up with Karrion Kross? You can see that also. And that's a tough team to beat.
Very much so. But I don't know if I put anybody with Karrion Kross right now.
No, I don't. No, right now you can't.
No, he's a killer. He doesn't need a heater. He doesn't need a Warlow. What they're doing right now, the only thing I'm wondering, I kind of had this idea, are they going to take him to Raw and SmackDown? But keep in mind, a part of why he's such a killer in NXT is because he's physically bigger against a smaller roster. He's going to lose a bit of that if he's in there with Randy Orton, who's huge. Right. Karrion Kross isn't a huge guy. He's big compared to Tommaso. I'm bigger than Tommaso. He's huge compared to Adam Cole and guys like that. He won't be that bigger in there. I mean, imagine him with Brock Lesnar. I'm interested in that match, but he'll have lost a little bit of the mystique because with a bigger guy.
Speaking of Randy Orton and Tommaso Ciampa, Shane, I know that all of us saw the tweets going back and forth between Randy and Tommaso, where even Randy's wife got involved in some of that as well. What's your take?
There's Randy being Randy. I mean, if I was the head of the company, I'd be like, is that really necessary? But at the same time, you got people talking, and so it's hard to say. Yeah. I kind of hate the insider jabs. Tommaso's work is really good, so who knows? But
was it really a jab?
People talking.
Was it really a jab? I mean, you can take Randy's first tweet that started this whole thing different ways, I think, by the way it was written. Either he was saying, hey, great, even though, what was it, leg slaps or something like that? Or was it truly meant to be detrimental or insulting to them? I think it can go either way.
I mean, it was advice. It was advice on the leg slapping to the whole roster. Hey, knock it out. And somebody kind of does need to tell them, hey, that shit's not necessary. We all see it. We can see it. This isn't the Indies anymore. There are 18 cameras on you. We all see this shit all the time.
Yeah.
Cut it out. Take a break. At least chop it down to only 50 a show. It doesn't have to be that much. Somebody needs to tell them. And maybe this will be a good thing overall.
When Road Dogg was up here for me back in January or February, I forgot what month it was, he did a seminar. And he was telling the local talent here, hey, stop with the leg slaps. It's a problem even in NXT, and they're trying, but everyone is so used to doing it now, it's hard to break that habit.
Well, no, all right. So I'm the fan. Remember, you guys are more in the business than I am. I've never been in the ring, measurably. In my mind, every move comes with a leg slap. That's where the noise comes from, right? So what's the problem?
Well,
every move should have a leg slap.
So wait, what am I missing? I just heard you guys say that it's too much.
I'm not sure what the question is, because every move doesn't have a leg slap. Most moves don't. It's only the strikes. And
so
it's what the problem is. If you watch some of the guys with their leg slap, they don't even try to hide it. Okay? And that's the insulting thing. I mean, some guys come way up out here and then do it. Certain guys, it's very close, very tight. They create other distractions, but it seems like some just don't care if it's seen or not. That's a huge problem.
And keep in mind, especially now as ratings and attendance isn't what it was in the heyday, we're always trying to attract new viewers. If you're just throwing it in their face that, hey, this is a bunch of make-believe horse shit, it's hard to get them in. And when I just see guys doing this the whole damn match, I'm just like, oh my God.
See, that's the thing though. I don't see it.
Yeah, but them glasses, you got to work on them gimmicks, man.
Like, or maybe let me rephrase that. I don't see it, but maybe I don't tell myself I know I'm seeing it, because it's become standard for me as a fan to say, okay, yeah, that noise wasn't him really kicking him in the face. That was him slapping his leg somewhere, but I don't see it. And I think the majority of the audience doesn't see it either.
Do you watch UFC or Bellator MMA at all?
Occasionally, not as much as I should probably.
All right. Now watch it next time and count how many slaps you hear. These guys are legit punching, kicking, elbowing, and every single strike doesn't sound
exactly
like that.
You never once hear a kick or a strike sound like you're smacking your leg.
But that's UFC, that's mixed martial arts. This is wrestling. I mean,
yeah, but keep in mind, wrestling is based off of real combat. It's a simulation of real combat. And you don't want to scream, hey, this isn't real. When I look at a guy and his chest is all red and his leg is red and nothing's happened to him, I'm like, what happened to him? He's just slapping himself.
Damien, if somebody kicked you in the head, it's going to be a thud. It's not going to be a slap.
And if you can do it and I can't see it, man, I'm going to give you credit. And I know I'm looking at it with an analytical eye. I'm looking at it way harder than the casual fan will. But that's my job. That's what I do.
So like Shawn Michaels switched in
really
music.
Good at it.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels switched in music
one time a match.
True.
And that's why it mattered. Bobby Eaton, one time a match, bam! And then you'll go, oh God, he got it. He really got it. Michael Hayes with that quick jab. You didn't do it every single time.
I hear you.
When
Okay,
you do it every single time, if you do it every single time, you dilute the effect. That's what they've done. They've diluted the effect of these strikes because every strike is slap, slap, slap. And now I'm just watching the guy slap his leg. I cannot take my eye off it.
But Shane, don't you think almost every match now is diluted with almost everything? I mean, when we're watching these and all we're seeing is guys kicking out, they're not truly hooking the leg, they're not cradling, they're not truly trying to win. They're just doing a pinfall to get up to go to the next one.
That does happen a lot too. That's all I'm gonna say about that. That does happen a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just for context, the original tweet that Randy said was, and this is how I say you could take it a bunch of different ways. He said, heard NXT Takeover in your house was great! Exclamation point. Slapping my leg for you guys. Sincerely, hashtag leg slap. Tommaso Ciampa then responded and said, my daughter has been having trouble sleeping. Luckily, I found a remedy. Randy Orton matches. Better than NyQuil. Sincerely, hashtag an entire locker room who busted their asses. If you're not a fan in the know, who comes off better or worse in that exchange, Dave?
Well, Randy basically said he didn't watch the product because he said he heard, which I thought was kind of, that was the first jab. You know what I mean? But then, when Tommaso Ciampa goes right back at him by saying Randy's matches are boring, like NyQuil, well, we know that's not truly true either. And then, of course, Randy replies back that he hurt the feelings of the self-appointed locker room leader. I think that's how the third tweet went, kind of thing.
Here's exactly what he said, actually. Looks like I hurt the feelings of a self-appointed locker room leader of a wrestling school. Let me know what time hashtag leg slap class starts so I can take my game to the next level. Yeah, and
see, that right there is like, okay, there's no way that they were just messing around. That shit I took was personal by both.
At that point, absolutely correct.
Yeah, I think Randy was being goofy in the first one. I'm guessing he might have watched it. I don't know. Tommaso definitely got offended by it, and then Randy came with the KO at the end.
Out of nowhere. You know, because how do you come back from that? There's no way to come back from that. And then Randy's wife got involved also.
Yeah.
What did she say?
I didn't find that one. I'll take a look for it and see if I can find it. But in the meantime, a new NXT Women's Champion was crowned as well this past Sunday. That in Io Shirai, defeating both Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley, walking out the new Women's Champion. Shane, what did you think?
I thought it was a real good match. Finish looked like it could have been really dangerous. I think there was a close call on the moonsault, almost landing on Rhea Ripley's head as she was sitting up or whatever. But man, I thought that was a competitive match. It was hard hitting. Sometimes it got a little ugly, which wasn't bad. You know, it looked like some bones were being thrown in there. Yeah, so it was really good. I picked Rhea Ripley, but I'm not upset at all at Io Shirai winning. And there's a lot of interest in the NXT Women's Championship now, and that's what you want after a match.
What I thought was interesting was the amount of fans, at least online, you know, the vocal minority, complaining, well, why didn't Charlotte Flair take the pinfall loss? Why should she? Because the story is now Charlotte saying, I never lost. And then she can stay in the mix. And then it's just funny how everyone is now turning on Charlotte Flair, saying she is, you know, the Roman Reigns, John Cena of this era, I guess, the pandemic era, whatever it is. But Charlotte Flair has done everything that's been asked of her. She's been nothing short of fantastic. She walks like a champion. She talks like a champion. She looks like one. I don't understand why people are so frustrated with her. Makes no sense.
I think that's just that bandwagon mob mentality. Hey, somebody said it, so I'm gonna say it too. I don't know how you can look down on Charlotte Flair. I completely agree with Dave 100%. She's the hardest working person going right now. She's on Raw, she's on SmackDown, she's on NXT. Nobody has that schedule. She's taking more bumps than anybody in the business during this pandemic era. I don't know how you can look at that without anything but complete and absolute respect. Never has a bad match, never phones it in.
And now it looks like she's got the opportunity to go after Asuka's championship over on the Raw brand. It's a good next move.
She can go after any of them. She's the number one contender for the AEW Women's Championship, as a matter of fact.
Yep.
You know, and with Charlotte, it's people don't realize. Look at her robes that she wears to the ring. Nobody has anything like that going right now. Not even close. I mean, she is fully invested 135% into being Charlotte Flair and being the best. And her and Asuka, I think, is going to be great. Asuka and Charlotte, to me, like everyone's like, oh, well, you know, Charlotte's already beaten Asuka twice. Let's not forget Steve Austin beat The Rock twice, headlining 2 WrestleManias. Eventually, The Rock got his. Why not do the same thing? Asuka is so good. Her only Achilles heel is Charlotte. Let that be her downfall that she eventually overcomes. It makes it that much greater and bigger for Asuka to finally beat Charlotte.
I agree 100% with that. 100%.
Back to answering the question of what did Kim, Randy Orton's wife, say in response to the exchange between he and Ciampa on Twitter. And I quote, and there's some inside here apparently, and I quote, isn't that the same guy who took credit for all those great matches that he didn't put together?
Yeah, that was weird when I saw Randy's wife put that out there. I'm like, oof, now she's involved in this, and that's kind of another personal dig.
What's the that we don't know, Shane? Do you know what she's getting at?
I don't know what you're talking about there, so I can't say. I do love that she just jumped in and for no reason, but I know what little I know of her. I get that, but I don't know what she's actually referring to.
It's almost like she went to the Rebbe school of tweeting. Right?
I was gonna ask, who do you want getting involved, her, Kim, or Rebbe, in a Twitter war?
She didn't pull out the switchblade, so it's not quite Rebbe. she didn't go for the throat. You know.
Gentlemen, we've got just about 10 minutes remaining, and before we get to the key takeaways from each of you from last night's programming from NXT and AEW, I first want to talk about the beautiful new shirt you're wearing, Dave, and the awesome tribute shirt that you're wearing, Shane. First, Shane, tell us about the shirt that everybody's talking about.
This shirt is for Shad Gaspard, our recently departed friend who went out like a man's man, went out like a true hero. Collar and Elbow brand put out this shirt. 100% of the proceeds go to Shad's family. He still has a son and a wife to take care of. So collarandelbowbrand.com is where you can go and get the brand new Shad Gaspard t-shirt.
And over here, we got the new PWR shirt, the new Pro Wrestling Report Golden Globe, orange Golden Globe shirt, just out. Shane, yours is in the mail. Damien, we'll see if we can get you one or not. But yeah, that shirt also is also by Collar and Elbow, collarandelbowbrand.com. Use promo code PWR360 for all your Collar and Elbow brand goodness.
Awesome,
and
great.
Dave, just to prepare you for your future weeks of losing against me and be the booker, you can get your Hurricane shirt at collarandelbowbrand.com as well.
Yes.
Just want to let you know.
Yes.
Come this time next Thursday, likely you'll be wearing that, Dave, because we're going to do Be the Booker again tomorrow, another special broadcast for Backlash, which features what is the greatest wrestling match in the history of Monday Night Nitro, WCW, and Ohio Valley Wrestling combined.
Yes. And you know what? You know Randy Orton and Edge hated the title of that match.
Unless they don't, because maybe there won't actually be a match.
Well,
wouldn't that be the best thing ever?
From what I understand, they did that match. It was recorded before NXT. So if it's going to be the best, they're going to pull the old Paul Heyman ECW trick and heavily edit whatever wasn't working.
Well, we'll talk about that in more detail tomorrow. Be the Booker special on our YouTube channel. And
Damien, wait a minute. I need to know, is Dave getting some inside scoops here on Be the Booker?
It seems like he is cheating.
No.
There's no doubt. He did. Absolutely.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
I got to throw the towel. That sounded to me like an admission of somebody trying to get some inside information. Now, you both know I have the avenues to get inside information, but I have not. Dave Hero, I got my eye on you. The eye of the hurricane is staring you down.
I honest to God, I have no idea who won. I read online that it was taped before NXT. That's all that I saw.
No, it's your smile and your smirk that's saying more than what your face is actually saying. Your mouth is actually saying.
That
as it may.
Exactly.
Just a few minutes remaining, guys. I want to get your key takeaways from AEW last night. Dynamite on TNT. Cody defending the championship again. We talked about some of the things involved with Matt Hardy, MJF, Billy Gunn, but what other key takeaways or topics did you want to raise for discussion here on this program from what you saw on TNT last night, Shane?
I thought they really did really good with the FTR coming in, having a good match with Blade and Butcher. That match could have been just a match to highlight FTR, but they took the opportunity to also make Blade and Butcher look really good. A little bit longer than it needed to be, but still really good. We got a lot of tag team chaos at the end of that. I was super happy with. The women's division, Nyla Rose continues to put on good performance after good performance. I think she's really found her groove. The beat down on Orange Cassidy was pretty nasty. That was pretty wild. He got busted open by an orange. That was pretty interesting.
A bag of oranges.
A bag of oranges.
A bag of blood oranges. Blood oranges.
They did draw blood.
Hey, those things
orange
hurt.
Equals green. If he doesn't have a shirt that says orange equals green, he's missing an opportunity. That was really great. All the chaos at the end with Jack Hager now being number one contender. I really wish they would have kind of did that differently, because they rewarded the heels for doing something dirty. You shouldn't. They came in and jumped somebody, and then you get rewarded with a championship. Well, that sends a message to everybody else. Hey, if you do something dirty, you'll get a championship shot. I wish they could have found a different way to get there. Maybe Cody said, hey, I know what you're trying to do. I'm going to wrestle everybody else in this company before you, just to show you that's not going to do something. And then somehow we still get to that match. But to just reward the heels for doing something dirty was a little bit off to me. But other than that, I loved AEW last night. Top to bottom.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed FTR's debut. I thought the match was super solid. I love how the Young Bucks came down as the antagonists, because I'm not too sure if you guys have listened to FTR on the Jim Cornette experience, where FTR basically said that they have had heat with the Young Bucks because of how they were treated and talked about them without them knowing each other truly. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be very interesting to see when these two, they'll both do great business together, but you got to wonder how many times each one is going to try to one up the other. And I think they kind of put that ball in motion last night. My one takeaway was, where was Jungle Boy this week? If he had his match with Cody, which is supposed to elevate him and shine him up and make him a bigger star, why don't they bring him back and constantly remind us that he's there? He wasn't there, so that's what's going to happen next week. So that's one of the things I think is an issue. We talked about Billy Gunn. I thought he looked like $1 million. I pity MJF because Billy and Shane, you know, Billy is like working, you know, a freaking a horse. So he's a stallion, and he's just those big clubbing arms, those big clubbing hands. It's not going to be an easy night for MJF. But yeah, overall, I thought it was great. Chris Jericho was fantastic on commentary. I thought he did some amazing things. And then jumping over to NXT quick, how about Drake Maverick?
Oh, before we go to NXT, and that's a good point on Drake Maverick. I got an on-the-spot question for both of you because you mentioned, Dave, the MJF story, the MJF situation, MJF appearing on Jim Cornette's podcast last week. We all know what Jim Cornette has said about every single talent in AEW. I'm sure he's crossed paths with all of them or would. Here's the question, though. Is this?
Are you talking MJF or FTR?
You
said MJF.
FTR. I'm sorry.
FTR, okay.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So are we going to see, yes or no, and we'll get into it further, are we going to see Jim Cornette come into AEW managing FTR against the Young Bucks because the story, the backstory there is amazing. And it all seems to fit with the road we're going down. Yes or no? Do you think we'll see that, Shane?
Probably not. I wouldn't hate it, though, if it happened. But probably
It'd be brilliant. Not. It would be brilliant.
I would like it just because it'll get people talking. And some of the things they say might not be nice, but it'll get them talking. And like I said, it probably won't happen, but I'll be tuning in if it does.
Dave?
You know, considering that both Linda and Hulk Hogan are banned from AEW for saying and doing far less than Jim Cornette, I highly doubt Jim Cornette will ever wind up on AEW television.
I got to be honest, I love the fact that Linda Hogan is banned from anything. Even if she had never, just reading that tweet that she was banned, I started laughing. I was like, that's just great.
Afro-Americans,
yeah. Being a dumbass, that was completely dumbass tweet, but just the fact that she's banned.
As a fan,
you can't even come watch our shit.
Yeah, she has no idea what it even is. That is the best thing about it, you know?
I think a fan mentioned this. Why does she still call herself Linda Hogan? Is that her? I mean, her name is Linda Bolair, right?
Yeah.
You know what?
And she's divorced, right? She's divorced. Yeah. So she's holding on to a gimmick name of somebody she's no longer married to.
Yeah,
that's why she's banned. She should be banned because of that.
There's so much value in that name. Why wouldn't she keep it? You know what I mean? I'm not surprised.
I want to ban her from this show, too.
Done and done. We can do that. I want to talk more about this Jim Cornette thing later because as a fan, and Dave, you got your opinion, Shane got your opinion, but as a fan, look back in the annals of time, and Jim always talks about the heat of the 70s and 80s in wrestling. And people really, 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 really hating people. AEW fans hate Jim Cornette. This could be brilliant from a business standpoint. However, it ruins Cornette going forward because he can't then speak ill about them unless they do it perfectly after appearing for them.
But that's not true because he still speaks ill about WWE, and he inducted the Rock and Roll Express in the Hall of Fame.
You know what? That's true. But I think if you listen to him regularly, he makes personal vicious attacks against the talents in AEW.
Oh, yeah. There's no way he'll ever be in that locker room. The talent hates him. And let's be honest, the talent today, Shane, and I'm sure you'll even admit, it's different than it was in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
True, but at the same time, Cornette, and I like Jim. Jim's a buddy of mine. You know, I don't agree with everything he says by any stretch of the imagination. But Jim would not have said some of the things he says about today's talent to the talent of yesteryear, because the talent of yesteryear was known for slapping the shit out of somebody.
Yeah.
You know, that's the era I grew up in. You say that shit about me, well, then when I see you face to face, there's going to be a confrontation. You know, so if it does happen, the only thing I can think about is when Vince brought Eric Bischoff to be the general manager of WWE.
Exactly.
That's the closest thing this could have been. And that did create a lot of controversy and a lot of talk about them. But like I said, if they banned Linda Hogan, I don't think they're bringing Jim Cornette in.
Dave, your takeaways from NXT as you started before I interrupted you.
You know, I thought I was shocked how quickly they are pushing Karrion Kross to the NXT Championship. Big victory over Ciampa. Scarlett comes out, puts the tick-tock clock in the ring at the end for Adam Cole. Very shocked about that. I was surprised how quickly Johnny Gargano and his wife got over again on Keith Lee. But obviously that's a story that's going to be told a little bit longer than just for a couple of weeks. But the Drake Maverick ending the show, to me, I thought was very interesting. It's showing that they have plans. I thought it was fantastic when Phantasma unmasked and his amigos came out, his associates came out, and they took their masks off. DJ Zima Ion, I think, is a fantastic talent. I think he's going to do some great things. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Drake Maverick, because he can't take on all three of those guys by himself. Who is going to come to his aid? And I think that's going to be very interesting going forward for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I like Drake Maverick. Don't mean to correct you, but I think the Karrion Kross thing ended the show. As far as
you're right. Yes.
I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned last week were the guys in the mask on Fantasia's side. So, but yeah, I like that. I'm telling you what, Santos Escobar. I remember that name right away. Like that's the sign of a good name. I just immediately. So I'm guessing it's a throwback to Santos, the famous luchador. So I like where they're going with that. I like, as you said, DJ Z. I'm glad to see him in a row. The Karrion Kross thing, I think they're going to push him to the moon. I see him winning the NXT championship. I see him winning the North American championship and holding both of them at the same time.
And that'll be interesting, because is Karrion Kross the good guy or the bad guy?
Right now,
he's just the ass kicker right now.
Yeah, right now he's in the middle. Right now he's one of those tweeners.
But he ain't no in-betweener, or is that what a tweener is? Well, thank you guys for your comments, your commentary. I look forward to going into this. Is a lot of Be the Booker. What is this, our third week in 4 weeks? Since we started doing the show, we're going to Be the Booker again. It's always fun. That's going to be tomorrow after SmackDown. Tune into our YouTube page, where you should subscribe and turn on your notifications. Also on Twitter at PWR360. And also on our Facebook page, facebook.com/PWR360 now. And the one great thing about Be the Booker is it doesn't just come once. It's like Christmas in the James Bond movie. It comes multiple times a year.
It's like any good lover.
After SmackDown, and then again on Saturday, and then Sunday. It's our Super Sunday. We started that last weekend, David, our Super Sunday Fun Day, where you get all 3 weekly episodes of the Pro Wrestling Report in succession Sunday afternoon, so you can catch up. So we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you guys joining us. And any closing comments from you, Shane, or Dave before we go home?
I just want to give a shout out to all the wrestlers that performed this week, because with all the chaos and just insanity going on in the country, man, what a break for me it is to just sit back and watch wrestling and not think about any of that. So 2 good shows came on last night. I love them both. So thank you to the wrestling world for taking my mind off the insanity of the world.
Great point.
It's kind of hard for me to top that. I just got to study, because I got to, I need to study. I got to get prepared for tomorrow, because I have to try to dig out of this hole that I've dug myself into.
But you've already cheated. You've already got inside information.
Already cheating.
I would never cheat on purpose.
Jesse Ventura says what? It ain't cheating until you get caught.
And trust me, Dave, there's only one reason I would ever lie to you. if I don't want you to know the truth.
On that note, folks, for Shane, for Dave Hero, this is Damien Nelson saying thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow night for Be the Booker BTB for Backlash after SmackDown. So long, everyone.